You already know the feeling. That 10-second window right after, when the chest deflates, the jaw unclenches, and something in the body just drops. Quiet. Still. Most men sink into that quiet and think, that's it, I'm done. And that's exactly where the damage starts. Not in the act, in the aftermath. Because your body, in that precise moment of release, has just launched a cascade of hormonal events that will either rebuild you or quietly, systematically dismantle you, depending entirely on what you do next. And here's the thing. No one ever taught you what comes after. For most men, especially as the years stack up, that quiet moment isn't just relaxation. It's a slow-motion collapse. You feel the vitality you just peaked with leaking out of your fingertips. You've been told this is just getting older. You've been told that the exhaustion, the brain fog, and the shrinking drive are inevitable. But what if I told you that the biological tax you're paying isn't for the act itself, but for the negligence that follows it? Your body is a high-precision engine, and you've been turning it off while the pistons are still red hot. Mistake 1. You fall asleep immediately. The second you release, prolactin floods the bloodstream. That's the hormone responsible for the sedation, the fog, the lead weight in the limbs. It's biological, it's real, and it is not rest. It's suppression. Blood flow slows. The lymphatic system, which should be flushing metabolic waste, goes nearly idle. Toxins that your body generated during arousal, the inflammatory byproducts, the hormonal residue, they sit, they pool. And prolactin, left unchecked by movement, keeps testosterone suppressed for hours longer than it needs to be. Think about the geometry of your circulation. When you lie flat and still while prolactin is peaking, you're essentially allowing your hormonal system to stagnate in a pool of its own byproduct. The crash isn't a reset, it's a clog. By simply standing up, by forcing the calves to pump blood back toward the heart, you're physically overriding the sedation signal. You are telling your brain, we are not finished, we are recovering, but we're still dangerous. The fix is almost insultingly simple. 5 minutes of light movement, walking, slow stretching, anything that circulates blood, and you've given your body the signal it needs to begin clearing the hormonal backlog. Just 5 minutes. That's all your body is asking for. Mistake 2, the cold shower. You've heard it glorified. The cold plunge, the disciplined man, the shock therapy. And trust me, context matters. Because after release, cold water hitting vasodilated erectile tissue causes something the locker room never warned you about: microvascular constriction of tissue that is already engorged and sensitized. You're not refreshing yourself. You're stressing tissue that is mid-recovery. Repeated exposure damages microcirculation. Erectile quality, long-term, erodes at the margins. The fix? Lukewarm. Let the body thermoregulate naturally. Let the vasodilation resolve on its own timeline. Cold has its place. This is not that moment. Mistake 3, junk food, alcohol, a cigarette. And here's where most men fall into the deepest hole, because it feels like reward. A drink. Something greasy. A smoke. The body, post-release, is in a state of hormonal sensitivity. Testosterone is already on its descent. Dopamine is depleted, and the liver is working. Alcohol in this window doesn't just slow recovery. It actively converts testosterone to estrogen through aromatization. Processed sugar spikes insulin and extends the hormonal suppression window by hours. Cigarettes constrict the very vascular pathways you need, open for recovery. You are doubling down on the crash. If this is already making you rethink habits you never questioned, follow along, because we're only halfway through. And here's the thing. If you're realizing right now that you've been sabotaging your own recovery for decades, don't look away. Most men live their entire lives without ever reading their own manual. If you want to be the man who actually understands the machine he lives in, hit the follow button. We're going deeper into the mechanics that the mainstream health world is too uncomfortable to touch. The fix for this mistake? Water first, then protein, something that gives the endocrine system raw material to rebuild with, not more noise to filter out. Mistake 4. The guilt spiral. You probably thought this was harmless, and that's exactly the problem. Guilt, real guilt, the kind that replays, that obsesses, that catastrophizes, triggers a cortisol spike that is measurable, documented, and devastating to testosterone. And here's the insidious part. Cortisol and guilt form an addictive loop. The shame produces cortisol. Cortisol degrades mood and discipline. Degraded discipline leads back to the act. The act produces more shame. Around and around. The fix is not self-forgiveness, a sentiment. It's a deliberate 5-minute mental reset. Breathe. Name what happened without editorializing. Close the loop. The body is listening to every thought you have about it. Mistake 5. Back-to-back sessions. This is the peak. The most damaging myth in male sexual health. Dopamine receptors, flooded and then drained, do not recover in 20 minutes. They recover over hours. Going back-to-back doesn't reset the clock. It extends the depletion. Testosterone crashes further. And let's talk about the prostate. It's the organ no man thinks about until it starts demanding his attention every hour of the night. During ejaculation, the prostate undergoes intense muscular contractions. It is a violent, necessary mechanical event. When you force a second or third session without a recovery window, you're asking an inflamed, sensitive gland to vibrate while it's still recovering from the last shock. You're effectively bruising it from the inside out. This isn't just about stamina, it's about structural integrity. The just one more instinct is not desire, it's dopamine dependency misfiring. The fix, a minimum of 4 hours. Non-negotiable if performance, mood, and long-term prostate health matter to you. Before we wrap, drop a comment and tell me, which of these mistakes have you been making without even knowing? This shift in perspective, moving from pleasure and guilt to performance and maintenance, is the hallmark of a man who respects his own biology. When you choose the lukewarm shower over the cold shock, when you choose the glass of water over the cigarette, you aren't being boring. You're being tactical. You are protecting the baseline of your masculinity. Because this is the truth no one handed you. Your body was never broken. It was never punishing you. It was running a system you never learned to read. The aftermath was always the variable. And now you know what the aftermath actually does. So the only question left, the one worth sitting with, is what you're going to do differently the next time that quiet drops in. Not from shame, from understanding. That pause, that one informed beat before the old habit, that's where it starts. That's what reclamation actually looks like.